Nitro Rad. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. It's a platformer game for the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox that was released in 2002. It's a typical collectathon game about an Australian tiger named Ty. Now, the game was heavily criticized for stereotyping Australia and having characters with obviously fake accents. Ironically enough, Chrome Studios, the developer of Ty, is in Australia. And every voice actor is Australian. When I was a kid, I loved this game. I thought it was the shit. As a big fan of platformer games like Mario, Banjo, and Rayman, I just couldn't tear myself away from it. So does it hold up as a hidden gem, or was I just dumb? Let's find out.
The game begins with a CG cutscene of Ty playing hide and seek with his friends. He then stumbles upon a cave where some shaman-looking guy lives. He then explains that long ago, the Tasmanian tigers were all sealed away by Boss Cass, the game's antagonist, by using the 5 mystic talismans. Turns out that Ty's parents were also sealed away. Before being sucked into the portal, however, Ty's father scatters the talismans all over the country in an attempt to stop Boss Cass from using them and take over the world. Boss Cass is now on a hunt for the talismans, and it's up to Ty to find them first to rescue his parents and stop Cass from taking over the world.
It's up to me to save my family.
It's a pretty dumb plot, but hey, it's for kids. You'll find yourself in a Banjo-styled hub world where you can access a variety of levels. The only difference, though, is that it kinda sucks. It's so big and empty, and there's no reason to explore. You'll soon find yourself in the first level, which is very linear and serves as a pretty good tutorial for the game. Ty has a variety of moves that he can use. He can throw up to 2 boomerangs at a time as a standard attack. He also has a biting attack, which is used for breaking enemy defenses and for reaching areas via biting floating objects, which is very reminiscent of Sonic's homing attack, though it's not nearly as fun to use. Ty also has a glide move that he uses by sticking out his boomerangs. This doesn't make any sense, but they act like wings, allowing him to glide short distances. Ty can also aim his boomerangs in first person, which is really helpful for pushing buttons or making very precise shots. Overall, Ty controls fairly well. He handles pretty tightly, and maneuvering him around is pretty easy. The camera, however, isn't the best. The camera controls are inverted, and there's no way to change it. Not only that, but the camera can feel really floaty at times, and sometimes is way too close to Ty, even on the furthest zoomed out setting. Overall, though, it's not a game breaker. Like all collectathons, collecting things is the name of the game. The main objective is collecting Thunder Eggs, which is the game's equivalent to stars or jiggies. You'll need to collect a certain amount of these to unlock each boss level. There's also golden cogs, which are used to create new types of boomerangs, which I'll discuss later on. There's also creatures you can rescue called bilbies. Rescuing all 5 in a stage will reward you a Thunder Egg. So essentially, they're this game's equivalent of Jingos. You'll also be rewarded with a Thunder Egg if you can manage to collect all 300 opals in each stage. I don't know what an opal is, but apparently they're these things. Collecting all of these is a bitch. It's not so bad in the more linear levels, but in the larger levels you're likely not even gonna bother trying to get them all. Like the Mario games, you can play the next levels in whichever order you like, as long as they've all been unlocked and you obtain enough Thunder Eggs total to unlock the boss level. Here we have a rainforest level, which is mostly linear, save for a few paths that deviate from the main course. This level is where you'll first meet Ty's friends, Ranger Ken and Shazza the Dingo. Each level has a main objective along with other objectives. For example, the main objective in this stage is to help Shazza repair her broken truck. The main objective, even existing however, is completely pointless since it gives you no more reward than the other side objectives. Doing either one, you'll only receive a single Thunder Egg, so I don't know why they decided to make it look like doing a certain thing in the level is more important. The other level is a water level. Oh boy. This is the first level I would consider a mess. Too much of the scenery all looks the same and the map is just a jumbled mess of tunnels and islands. It's by no means unplayable, but it's definitely the first frustrating level of the game. Not to mention all this open space on this side of the map. Look at this, it's so big, but there's nothing here. It just makes crossing the map take that much more time. Once you've gotten enough Thunder Eggs, Julius, Ty's scientist koala friend, will use them to open up a portal to the boss level where you can duke it out for the first talisman. The boss fights in this game are beyond forgettable. This first boss, you literally just make it run into a few things, and it dies. That's it. The second boss is actually pretty good and has some solid ideas in it, but the rest are nothing worth talking about. Julius does more than just open the boss levels for you. He'll also take the golden cogs you've collected and build new boomerangs with them. The ones you receive via golden cogs aren't essential to completing the game, but they do help you out quite a bit. like the Zoomerang that you can throw extremely far distances, or the Multirang, which you can throw in a seamlessly endless barrage. There's 3 boomerangs you'll receive throughout the game that you'll actually need to advance. First is a Flamerang, which is literally just a boomerang on fire. I always thought Ty looked pretty badass carrying around flaming boomerangs, especially with the new lighting on his face. This boomerang does a little bit more damage and also can melt ice. Next is a Frostyrang, which freezes enemies and puts out fires. Somehow. Lastly, there's the Zappyrang, which you will use to power one generator one time in the entire game, and you'll likely never use it again. You'll receive one of these 3 rangs after each boss fight. You'll then use it in the hub world to access the next set of levels. The next set of levels include a snow level, a river level, and a level in the great Australian outback.
The wide open outback. Lots of sand, red earth and rock, and some more sand, and another rock, and more
Gee, you make it sound so great.
The river level is probably my favorite level in the game. It has a very chill vibe, and none of the thunder eggs are frustratingly hard to get, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. It's also one of the levels where collecting every opal is not goddamn impossible. The snow level is a goddamn mess though. It's way too big, and many of the thunder eggs are either way too hard to find or too convoluted to figure out how to get. I hate this level. It just outright blows and isn't fun to play at all. The awful ice physics don't help one bit either. The Outback level changes things up quite a bit. You'll ride through the level on a bull, destroying everything in your path. It's an okay way of changing things up. However, there's one part in this level that made me laugh for 5 solid minutes. You'll meet up with Ken the Ranger and you'll do some mission for him. After finishing the mission...
On your mate, you did it.
Why did he do that? So like, fuck. I do something for someone and then they just... That's... Yo, Justin, I found your iPod.
Well, thanks!
After each boss fight, you'll be treated to a CG cutscene that shows what's going on in Boss Cass's lair. Each time, it reveals that Cass has an evil Tasmanian tiger on his side.
Wow, the villain's working with an evil version of the main character. Where have I heard that before?
The next 3 levels aren't very good, one of which is alright, but the other 2 are messy and aren't much fun to play. One's another snow level, and the other is another water level. The snow level is cramped and maze-like, making it very confusing and difficult to navigate. The water level, on the other hand, is way too huge and open. Remember that empty space in the previous water level? That's the entirety of the map in this one. There's huge empty islands scattered everywhere with large amounts of water in between. It's not so hard to find out how to get the thunder eggs in this level, but it's really tedious as it takes you way too long to journey across the entire map, especially since one of them requires you to constantly go to different places all over the level. These levels are riddled with awful game design choices, like this jump that's barely makeable. I tried so many times to make this jump and I couldn't make it until I just eventually did. It's awful. The one I like out of the bunch is fairly linear, much like the rainforest level. The gimmick in this level is that you're accompanied by a liar bird who's unable to tell the truth. This idea has a lot of potential for good puzzles, but it's completely wasted on stupid things like go left here when really you have to go right, or don't go that way when you have to go that way.
This water slide is pretty dangerous. Hey, wait right here. Yeah, right there. Don't move.
Yes, he literally just tells you not to go forward. Great puzzle! The only decent one is when he tells you need the Flamerangs to fix a heater, when really you need to use the Frostyrangs. That one kind of works, since it's easy to just forget that he lies to you all the time at that point in the level. Here's also the first time you'll encounter Sly, Cass's evil Tasmanian tiger. The fight with him is pathetic. No strategy, no puzzle, no nothing. Just throw your boomerangs at him until the game tells you to stop. This character is so stupid. Having an evil version of the main character is such a cliche, and the worst part is that when I was a kid, I thought this kind of shit was awesome. Sly is such a painful knockoff of Shadow, but what's even worse is his character design. It looks like they just got an elementary student to color and tie differently and then draw stuff on him that makes him look like a bad guy. The character designs overall are actually pretty nice. They all have an appealing, simplistic style that's very pleasing to the eye. Ty's just one of those characters that are really fun to draw. Hell, I even have a drawing of him stuck on my bedroom wall. The presentation overall is pretty good. The models don't look half bad for a 2002 game, and the environments are decently detailed. My only complaint is the lack of variety and color in some areas, which makes them look samey and bland, which just adds to the confusing level design. The music is really hit and miss. Many of the more chill acoustic tracks are really easy on the ears and pretty enjoyable to listen to. One of my favorites is definitely the song it plays during the river level. The more intense tracks, however, often fall flat on their face and can be pretty laughable. Other tracks just seem really plain and lackluster, and while not bad, get a tad irritating after a while. The main theme itself isn't bad either. It starts off with a kinda lame orchestra, but once the guitars kick in, it's not half bad. After those 3 levels, there's one final level, which is short and underwhelming. This is followed by the final boss, which is also short and underwhelming. After destroying the innards of Cass's giant robot, Sly comes out of nowhere and just decides that he's good now.
Yep, he just decides to be good.
Turns out that Sly is really Ty's long-lost brother, and Boss Cass adopted him after their parents got sealed away.
His brother. That is the dumbest, laziest, most cliche twist in a video game I think I've ever seen. But when I was a kid, I thought it was cool.
Sly then throws Ty the ultimate weapon, the Doomerang. Ty then uses it to deliver the final blow on Boss Cass. The final talisman is collected, and Ty finally reunites with his parents. If you 100% the game, you're treated to a quick after-credits scene showing off an evil cyborg Tasmanian tiger emerging from the remains of Cass's lair.
Wow, a robotic evil version of the main character. Where have I heard that before?
I guess we know who's going to be the villain in the sequel.
So, in the end, is Ty a good game? No. But it's not a bad game either. It's a pretty average game, and if you're a kid, you're probably gonna like this game quite a bit. It does have a lot of really frustrating and bad game design choices, but overall, it's alright. Surprisingly enough, though, the game was popular enough to spawn 2 sequels, which now I have to make videos about.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode of Nitro Rad. I finally got my capture card so I can finally start making videos by recording my own footage. It's awesome. A while back, I did a full video on a game I really like called Yume Nikki, and a few weeks later, I did an additional video about the cool glitches you can find in that game. So if you're bored and you got nothing to do and you haven't seen these yet, I'd really appreciate it if you can give them a click and give them a watch. Hopefully I'll be able to get a lot more stuff out, but I'm gonna be busy with college for quite a while, so content might be getting out pretty slowly. But you know, I'll still try my best, so it'd be fantastic if you could click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't yet, you could click that subscribe button. I hope to see you guys in the future, so as always, take care.